to Osama Hamdan, who's a senior member of the political bureau of Hamas. Mr. Hamdan, thank you so much indeed for speaking to us on TRT World. It's going to be important for our viewers to understand a lot of what your group is going through and how you are resisting the Israeli attacks. Can we go back to October the 7th? Could you explain to us why Hamas attacked Israel on that day?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I have to say that it was not an attack as it's defined or expected. It was a military operation against the Israeli army, and that was for political reasons. Everyone realized that with Netanyahu government, they were taking over the Palestinian lands in West Bank, Judaizing Jerusalem, attacking Al-Aqsa Mosque, talking clearly and frankly about demolishing the Palestinian cause, not recognizing any Palestinian rights. That military operation was supposed, and it did that, to bring back the Palestinian cause as a liberation, freedom cause for the people of Palestine against the occupation. Everyone realized that now. Regardless to the Israeli reaction, everyone is talking now about the Palestinian cause as a freedom and liberation Palestinian cause. That was the political target for this military operation, and I believe it was achieved on the political level. On the military level, it shows everyone that this army couldn't handle any fight with the militants. It's just a good army in killing the women and children, destroying the civilian houses, hospitals, and schools. It shows everyone the clear and the right face of Israel as not only a savage occupation, but also a Nazist occupation. It reminds everyone of what had happened in the last century during the period of the Nazists in Europe.
If that was indeed Hamas's aim, to bring the Palestinian cause right to the forefront of international dialogue, you're correct. It succeeded. There are countries that had maybe parked the two-state solution in the future of Palestinians somewhere in the background of their activities, but now the whole world is talking about it. Let's go to the politics a little bit later, if you don't mind, and just look at the situation from the point of view, as you say, the military aims of that October the 7th event, and also the humanitarian. Did you foresee the consequences of what happened on October the 7th when Hamas entered Israeli territory? Did you think what's happening now would be Israel's response to this degree?
Well, I have to say there is no Israeli territories. It's a Palestinian occupied land. It doesn't mean if it was occupied 75 years ago that it became an Israeli territory. It is an occupied land, and it is Palestine. And I have to remind everyone that Balfour Declaration in 1917 had said in a clear words that the government of Great Britain will establish an Israeli national state for the Jews on the Palestinian lands. On the Palestinian lands, he said that in a clear words. So it was Palestine at that time, and it is still Palestine, and it will be Palestine forever. This is the first point. The second point, I have to say also that even in the best periods of the peace process, the Palestinians were killed by the Israeli troops and the Israeli army and settlers. Let's remind everyone of a close issue. In 2022, in West Bank, the Palestinian Authority has a full and complete security arrangements with Israel. And even though there was 500 Palestinians who were killed in West Bank, Hamas was not operating. There was no military operations there, and the Palestinians were killed. In 2023, before the 7th of October, ministers in the Israeli cabinet called for demolishing cities and villages in West Bank, like Huwara. They invaded Tulmashaya, and they've killed people there. They burned all the houses and the cars. And no one talks about that. So the Palestinians were being killed everywhere, every time in the Palestinian occupied territories. That means you have two options. Either you can do nothing and you will be killed by the Israelis, or to resist, and they will kill you at the same time, but you will also resist them, and you will show everyone that this cause is a real cause. It belongs for a nation called Palestinian people, and this land is a Palestinian land, was occupied by the Israelis, and this will make the international community moves forward instead of just watching the Israelis, and that happened too. Well, you can't blame the Palestinians. The third point, you can't blame the Palestinians for being killed by the Israelis. You have to start blaming the Israelis. You have to start talking about how the Israelis are killing the Palestinians, the civilians, destroying the infrastructure of the civilian community, destroying the houses, the schools, the mosques, churches, and hospitals. And instead of blaming the Palestinians for trying to defend themselves, start talking about how the Israelis are a very savage and Nazist occupation, and instead of just blaming the victim for trying to protect itself, for trying to protect your own people and your own cause.
The Israelis say that there is a way for those attacks to end, that all hostages being kept inside Gaza who were taken on October the 7th should be released. Is that not acceptable to you? Because that, the Israelis say, would stop the attacks.
What is the way to end the occupation? This is the big question. This is the main question, how to make an end for the occupation. It's not an issue to release or not to release. It's a minor issue if it was compared to the main issue. The main issue is what and how can we make an end for the occupation? Are they ready to make an end for their occupation to Palestine? Are they ready to stop their attacks against the West Bank, Jerusalem, and Al-Aqsa Mosque? Are they ready to stop attacking the Palestinians and killing them? This is the main question that's supposed to be asked, whether they are ready to make an end for the occupation or not. And this is a big question for the international community. Are they supposed to work, to make an end for the occupation, or just they will keep watching and talking about humanitarian situation instead of starting from the main problem, from the key issue, the occupation, how we can make an end for this occupation?
Is it not the responsibility of both the leadership of Israel and the leadership of Hamas to address this step by step? Because what you seem to be suggesting is that you want some sort of long-term peace plan to be agreed before you release hostages. But should it not be step by step? First of all, stop the fighting, get Palestinian prisoners out of Israeli jails, release the hostages that are being held in Gaza, and move from there. Surely your main priority right now, is it not to protect the people of Gaza from these attacks?
Well, this is also our own question. We are doing our best to protect the people in Gaza from the Israeli attacks, but the one who's supporting the attack against the Palestinians is any country supporting Israel. And the main country in this situation is the United States. They are providing them with weapons. They are providing them with political support, with economical support to continue what they are doing. And talking about step by step, I have to mention that there was a peace process in Oslo. It was signed in 1993. And they've talked about step by step, and they've said there will be a Palestinian state in 5 years, step by step. And this step by step leads us to the situation right now. It destroyed all the Palestinian rights. In fact, they undermined the possibility of having a Palestinian state. They are taking over 60% of West Bank by their new settlements. They are Judaizing Jerusalem. They are taking over part of Al-Aqsa Mosque, and they are putting Gaza under the siege. And they are talking about the Palestinians as an Arabs, not even as a nation. They have rights. So step by step, it shows everyone that you can't trust Israel. They have no legitimacy. You can't trust any agreement with the Israelis. If we want to talk about the situation, there is an international resolutions in the Security Council. Go and implement those resolutions instead of talking about step by step. Implement them. There is no need to talk about step by implementing those international resolutions. And when it came to this point, I think there will be a start of creating a kind of trust among the Palestinians that there is someone trying to help and creating a real solution.
I will ask you about the potential for future peace in a moment, if you don't mind. But just to return to the fighting, I wanted to get your thoughts. What has the Hamas, the political leadership, you included, heard from your armed wing, the Al-Qassam brigades, who are there resisting the Israeli soldiers inside Gaza? How much longer do you think they can resist the Israeli army?
Well, I'm not trying to talk about hopes. I will talk about fact. Everyone realized that what is happening, the resistance in Gaza is still as strong as it was in the first day. And according to the letters from the brothers in Al-Qassam brigades, they are talking about their capability to continue that for the long it needs. And I can't say more than this, but I trust when they say that, I trust that they can do that. And even the Israelis understand that they can still do that. This is why they pulled out, for example, the Golani Brigade, because they understand that this special forces couldn't handle the fight against Al-Qassam. 1/4 of this brigade was killed or badly injured by the resistance, and everyone watched how the tanks were bombed by Al-Qassam troops. No one can deny how powerful the occupation army, the Israeli army, but at the same time, everyone knows now that the resistance will not give up.
Okay, just to help our viewers, the Golani Brigade is that elite unit of the Israeli army which has taken part in every war that Israel has waged against Arab states. And you're quite right, they are in the process of withdrawing. Okay, let's talk peace. What can you tell us about the process that is happening in Egypt, and where does Hamas sit in terms of those potential deals that could be done? We know that members of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad are also in Egypt. Many people are thinking that if they're there also, and you're talking in Egypt, then there may be some sort of deal in the making.
Well, I can say that it's still talks. We are not close. It seems to me that we are not close to a deal, not because of the Palestinian position, sorry, but because of the Israeli position. We have informed the Egyptians clearly that we are grateful for what they are doing, but we have to start from the initial point, the complete stop of the Israeli attack against Gaza. And we will not accept any kind of arrangements which may keep the Israelis attacking Gaza at the same time. If we start from this point, we can talk about a series of actions which can lead to a solution. That's what I can say, and I believe our brothers in Islamic Jihad, they have the same position, and it is a national Palestinian position, because everyone knows what is happening in Gaza will not be a matter of discussion on the basis of the Israeli needs. It must start from the Palestinian rights. And if we started from this point, I think we can reach a good point of arrangements. Otherwise, this will create more problems rather than solving the problem itself.
Could you not have accepted the Israeli proposal to release some hostages for some Palestinians held in Israeli jails? Because you said, no, all of them have to be released, and then we will release all the hostages that are held in Gaza. If you're demanding so much so quickly, can you not reduce your demand about how many people would be released from Israeli jails?
Well, we have declared our position and informed all the mediators, including our brothers in Egypt and Qatar, that we will not accept the same Israeli arrangements as it was suggested. We have tried the short-time pauses. It didn't work. The Israelis provoked the Palestinian resistance every time. And it seems to us that Israel is not willing to make an end for the Israeli attack without a complete arrangement. So we are clear in this position, and we have informed everyone who's in charge about this position.
In terms of the future, what much of the world is watching and hearing is the Americans and the Israelis believing that they are going to make the decision about how Gaza is governed in the future. And both of those parties, and clearly we understand, Mr. Hamdan, that the Americans are protecting the Israelis on the international stage. But both of those countries are saying that your group, Hamas, can't be involved in the future governance of Gaza. Whatever happens now, however long this lasts, you and I know that life will go on, that Gaza eventually will have to find some kind of balance to live either as a part of a two-state solution or currently as, let's say, occupied territory living next to the state of Israel. But the question is, for the future governance of Gaza, can you, Hamas, see yourself working with, for example, the Palestinian Authority?
Well, we have a clear position and stand. We have declared from the first day that the future of the Palestinians, including Gaza, is supposed to be determined by the Palestinians. The Palestinians who can decide about their future without any involvement of the Americans and the Israelis. And if any Palestinian believes that he can be the leader of the Palestinians by the support of the Israelis or the Americans, he puts himself in a position as a betrayer for his own people. So our suggestion and our belief every time that the leadership is supposed to be elected by the Palestinian people themselves. And on those bases, we will respect the elected leadership, whoever he was. But it must be elected by the Palestinian people in a transparent and fair elections. This had happened in 2006, and we can also handle such elections in the future. And we have to be sure also that this is supposed to be the international position, to respect the Palestinian elections, to respect the Palestinian people's choice, to respect the elected Palestinian leadership.
Osama Hamdan, thank you very much indeed for your time, sir. We very much appreciate it.